So a very warm good afternoon to one and all present here today for the awareness session on lifestyle and mental health situation in the country like India. We know that young people, young population like us have a lot of fear, anxiety, depression, lot of, unknowingly we don't know like what we are thinking, what we need to do and everything. Today, we have our expert speaker, Dr. Santosh sir, joined here. And on this platform, I would like to thank Youth Council of India for giving us opportunity to collaborate. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Shakti to give the speaker introduction. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I, on behalf of the team of YUCI, take immense pleasure in welcoming our guest speaker, Dr. Santosh Jacob, Director, Orthopedics and Sports Injury Management, Beavers Hospital, Chennai. He is backed with over 15 years of expertise in the field of orthopedics and sports injury management. Dr. Santosh specializes in fracture management, joint replacements, trauma, and sports injuries. He has also previously worked in the prestigious Southern Railway Headquarters Hospital, Chennai, for a period of 3 years with the position of Chief Orthopedic Surgeon. Dr. Santosh has even worked with Professor Hans, Chief of AO Germany, in the revision of knee replacements and regenerative orthopedics. He is in personal experience in complex trauma surgeries, which include complex joint trauma and concurrent ligament reconstructions. He has even been integrating new regenerative techniques in orthopedics, in arthritis, ligament injuries, and intervertebral disc prolapse patients, and has reduced incidence of major surgeries. He also specializes in nucleoplasty, which is a percutaneous technique to treat disc protrusion without open surgery, which reduces the need for surgery in more than 50% of his patients. Dr. Santosh, fondly called as Dr. Sandy by his peers, has always enjoyed a proactive and hands-on approach when it comes to treating his patients, and not to mention, he has a very clear motto of educating patients about the pros and cons of every single treatment so that they can make well-informed choices. Thank you, sir, for being here with us today. I now hand over this session to you, sir.
Hi. Thank you, guys. Okay, that was really embarrassing for me, okay, because yeah, all that is true, but let me tell you guys why you should listen to somebody whose introduction just says orthopedic surgeon, sports injury. What do I have to do with mental health? Let me explain that. So my belief, like who I am, is I believe that every human being should do something to help others move better and without any pain. It's my motto. And over the years, I'm a doctor for the last 18 years now, and I understood that movement is life, and without having a good sense or your mind in a proper space, it is very difficult for us to encourage ourselves to move or progress or achieve a goal. Because my job primarily entails getting people who are completely normal, right? So there's a 10th standard kid who has just passed his exams in flying colors, and his mom says, hey, don't go to your friend's house now, go to the temple at home. And he says, no, I want to share this. And he goes with his friend in a bike, and they have an accident, and he fractures his leg bones. So a very big part of what I do mind help their body. And this journey led me through understanding pain, emotion, depression, sadness, encouragement at a molecular level. Okay, so today I'm talking to youth or young people. I think the age is somewhere around 18 to 35. So the first part of my talk will be just to explain why all of you feel this way. You know, why reasons, what are the chemical reasons behind your brain or your mind or your body feeling this way. Okay, and this is the reason why what I may have to say could make a lot of sense to you. Apart from that, in the today, if you there's a video which will be coming up, and if you see that video, there is no representation of how sad or how upset or how depressed or how many times I have failed in life. Okay, so I was obese, like I am 6'3", but I was 150 kilos when I was in my 12th standard. And after that, I somehow managed to lose weight, but I continued to have a stutter. Yes, it's true. Till I was 24 or 25, I could not speak fluently at all. I had to go to a speech therapist in order to understand why it was happening to me and what are the techniques which I can practice, work on it again and again and again and again to improve my speech. And I just continued to work on it. And here I am talking to you guys. And then I thought that once you get married, everything will be fine. And my first marriage ended up in a divorce. Okay. And I have a son from the first marriage who's 11 years old. And after that, I was single for 4 years. Then I found she's from Finland, and we've been married now for the last 3 years, and we have a 1.5-year-old son called Marcus. Okay, no one's life is easy. Going through primary will be hormones which the different feelings. Can someone tell if you're able to hear me clearly? I just heard that there's some connection problems from my side.
Now it's better, sir.
Did any of you hear the introduction, or should I do it again?
No, sir, I think this should be fine.
Okay.
When to play the video, okay?
Yeah, you can play the video now,
Sure.
and afterwards I'll start.
I'm just playing the video right away. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
What are the two most powerful words in the English language? The two most powerful words in the English language are I am. Because what comes after I am will shape your life. What you speak after I am, what you believe after I am, will control your decisions and shape your life.
I am powerful. Whatever I want to achieve, I believe that I am capable. It's all attainable. And what you speak after the words I am will shape you. Those words will really make or break you. So be careful what you're saying every day. Don't let the negativity come in and take you. Stay strong and positive and you will make a breakthrough. I am powerful. I am a beast. I am a warrior. I am unique. I am.
Thank you, doctor. It's a nice video. Dr. Santosh? Dr. Santosh, are we audible?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, now, sir. Yes.
Okay, all right. So basically, like, you need to remember and a C. Just imagine it in your heads, okay, wherever you are. So these four alphabets DOS are balanced by one big alphabet C, okay? What these are, I will explain. See, all of us know that we should not go to a supermarket when we are hungry, right? The reason is you want to buy this, you want to buy that, you want to buy everything which you feel like eating at that point of time. And many times we buy unnecessary things. We all know that. But the question you have to ask yourself is, why do we go so often to the supermarket when we are actually not hungry, but when we need things? You know, why do we do that? Why don't we just go to the supermarket whenever we need stuff? The reason is because even though supermarkets are open for 24 hours, we are biologically designed to do certain things because we are controlled by hormones. And today I am going to explain in a very simple manner how these 5 hormones, DOS, C, okay, control everything you feel, you believe in sometimes, and also how you behave. And I will be touching upon 2 topics in a very small, concise manner about depression and social media addiction in this explanation of dose C. Now, let's start with E of dose, okay? So E means endorphins. So endorphin is a hormone which is like our own personal painkiller. It's almost like you have a tablet, which is a painkiller, and every time you have some pain in your body, you pop it in, and there are no side effects. There is no liver damage, no kidney damage. Yes, you have something called endorphins, which you can stimulate in your body. This endorphins to you. You know, how many times have you laughed at a joke, laughed so heavily that after 30 or 40 seconds, you say, hey man, I have to stop laughing. My stomach hurts. How many times has that happened? You know why? It takes 30 seconds for you to start feeling the pain, because when you laugh, for the first 30 seconds, there is so much endorphin which is released that even though your abdominal organs are convulsing for 30 seconds, you start to feel the pain only after that. That is the power of endorphins. Very similarly to the runner's high or those who actually work out regularly, you would have seen, if you're somebody who likes to run, if any of you who are here as the audience has experience as a marathon runner, you know that even when your body hurts, you want to continue running and running and running because you're in your veins and you start to feel good about what you're doing. The next day, your body's going to hurt like hell. But still, when you're running and when you've broken the wall and you've crossed, the surge of this hormone, endorphin, reduces the pain and helps you continue. So the point here is, when we exercise or when we push ourselves physically in order to do something, because in olden days we had to go hunt in order ancestors had to hunt before eating, that we go to the supermarket even when we don't need to go to the supermarket like pre-planned nowadays, because everything is open. We really don't need to buy stuff for 2 weeks. But our ancestors, they had to hunt for 2 weeks in order to have food. And the reason why they did it is for survival of the species. So endorphins were the hormones which made hard work feel good. And unfortunately, at this current age and time, the only way you can stimulate your endorphins is by exercising, physical activity, and by laughing. So if you want to suppress any pain which you have, stimulate your endorphins, okay? Start reading up about it. So I have a lot of medical understanding about these hormones, but I would really like to say that there is a book by Simon Sinek, who's one of my favorite authors, and the book is Leaders Eat Last, okay? Read the book, guys. It just opens your mind about a lot of stuff you haven't understood. Now of the dose endorphins is over. So you know now how to reduce any pain which you feel naturally, okay? Then you have to come to the D, okay? So in dose, we've learned about E. Now we are coming to the beginning, which is D, which is a it's a super interesting hormone, which is dopamine. So dopamine is the reason why human beings progress, why we all like to feel that sense of accomplishment, right? So if any of you have a watch which has a pedometer and you've set your mind to 10,000 steps, you know, when you're at 9,700 and you just have 20 minutes more, you get up from your chair or your bed and you walk for 10 minutes. And once you see the 10,000, there is a surge of something, right? You feel like I have done it and you're happy. That feeling is dopamine. Dopamine is what helps push the human race towards progress. Nature or our evolution has made sure that every time we see a tangible goal and our eyes are on the goal and we achieve milestones towards that goal, dopamine is released. And that is how our ancestors used to push further, even though times were not as easy as they are now. I'm sure a lot of you know that the maternal mortality rate just 100 years ago was 25 times more than what it is today. The child mortality rate was 35 times more than what it is today. Life expectancy was 30 years lesser. If all of us are thinking that today times are very hard, no, they had real problems 100 years ago. Today, we have a different set of problems, many of them which are not physical, like what they had. They had real issues like death, maternal death, and child death is so hard to take, right? So, coming back to dopamine. Dopamine is the reason you want to go out and achieve something. The reason why you want to get up in the morning to achieve whatever you have planned for the day. So in order to stimulate your dopamine, you need to start writing down your goals, because this hormone is only released when we see or understand a tangible goal. For example, again, I'm going to use steps as an example. If you have set 6,000 steps, when you cross 1,000 steps, you have a sense of accomplishment. But if you haven't ever set 6,000 steps, okay, to move, and even if you randomly one day do 8,000 steps, you don't feel the regular dopamine release, which comes with the 1,000, the 2,000, and the 3,000. And that is the reason, in order to stimulate the hormone of progress or accomplishment, write down your goals and stimulate your dopamine. Now, dopamine also comes with a little bit of a disclaimer at the bottom, because of course you can stimulate dopamine by actually setting goals and doing the hard work, that walking the 1,000 steps, dopamine. That is very good, but dopamine can also be released by addictions. When you smoke, when you take alcohol, when you eat. So when you overeat, more dopamine. When you gamble, dopamine can be also released in all these ways. So if your body is not receiving its dopamine input through naturally, physically beneficial ways to you, then automatically the human mind is very complex and is very efficient, right? It will find other ways which are harmful for your body in order to get the dopamine. And this is where addictions happen. So I told you that I'll be talking about social media, right? So I'll explain where you have that surge of dopamine. When you made a post on Instagram and you hear that ting, right? Where you know that it's a like or a message, even if you're driving the car and you hear the ting, you feel like, that's dopamine. That's dopamine. The feeling which you get when you look at that like or that hearts is dopamine, and you're not doing any physical activity for it. So how do you identify if I am addicted to social media? There's a very simple test. How do you identify if somebody is addicted to alcohol? You know, we are taught if the next day morning he or she reaches for the bottle, the first thing in the day, then they're addicted to alcohol. Okay, yeah, okay, that sounds quite fair. So then I started reading about who's addicted to social media. And also, guys, let me tell you, I'm no, like, it's not that I've won over these addictions. Many times, even now, say 30 days, 4 days in a month, I still somehow reach out for my phone within the first 1 hour of my waking up. Otherwise, I have a time of 2 hours. Okay. So it's not an easy process, but you have to know that it's an addiction, and you have to know that if you do not want your dopamine being stimulated unnaturally without any physical activity, without any goal setting for progress, you have an addiction to social media. And if you go to the toilet and you sit there and you missed your phone and you run out to get your phone, you're definitely addicted. And in the mornings, if the first thing you want to see as soon as you wake up is your phone, you definitely have an addiction of dopamine to social media. And this addiction, the dopamine which is released every time you have a like on social media, is very similar to the dopamine which is released every time a person who's an alcoholic drinks. The amount of release is the same. So it's almost like we are exposing everybody, adolescents, kids, and adults, to this dopamine surge, which is social media. This is the reason why, guys, it's so hard for us to leave our phones. When we feel like we need that poof, we immediately look at our phone, some sort of approval, we see it, we put it down, it is enough. This is destroying a lot of lives. And we will talk about what to do to change it, but you need to recognize that this is an addiction. This also is a gateway to depression, you know, because then this being the easiest way you can get your dopamine, just like for an alcoholic, he or she just wants to drink. We finally end up just wanting to have that dopamine hit again and again. All of us are just stuck on our phones. Now that we've spoken about endorphins and dopamine, the next one is the hormone which I love the most, serotonin. Okay, serotonin, or the leadership hormone. So the medications which are given for depression are drugs which increase serotonin levels. So as you probably would have thought of, serotonin is the antithesis to depression. So when do you actually feel serotonin? The beauty of serotonin is it is not possible for you to have a serotonin surge just by accomplishing something on your own. Serotonin is a shared hormone. You can only feel serotonin rise when there is human interaction. And serotonin is actually the hormone which all of us need to stimulate in us to stop feeling like how we generally feel a lot of the times. So what exactly is serotonin? Just imagine this situation, okay? So you're someone who's being graduated, is on the stand, and they are receiving their graduation. And when the names are announced, the person who's receiving the graduation looks at somebody in the audience, okay, and thinks, without you, I could not have done this. And at the same time, that person in the audience also feels, thank you so much for this opportunity. It was great to help you. Now, what both of them feel at that same time, this shared feeling of accomplishment, satisfaction, fulfillment, is in fact serotonin. So, how do I stimulate my serotonin? Team sports is a beautiful way to stimulate your serotonin. You know, have you seen basketball players, cricketers running around, jumping after a catch? All that is serotonin. You know, the way the bowler looks at the fielder, and when the fielder catches, the bowler is jumping around. You know, that is serotonin. In order for us to understand why are the good hormones not being stimulated, we need to understand that we have lost ways in order to stimulate them. So there, serotonin. And now coming to the O of dose, oxytocin. See, everybody knows oxytocin is the love hormone. No, yes, oxytocin is also the love hormone, but oxytocin is actually the friendship hormone. You know, oxytocin is stimulated, like obviously stimulated, when you see a puppy, when you see a baby, when you meet a friend, when you hear a song which reminds you of a friend or a lover, and also when somebody you care or you trust, you love, touches you. Okay, oxytocin is the love hormone. I'll tell you how strong oxytocin is. You would have seen this in so many movies, okay, but you wouldn't have recognized this. This direction happens because of oxytocin. So there is an armed murderer. He's killed like 20 people and he's going to kill a man who's very corrupt, okay? Then he goes into the house and has a gun on his head. He's so angry, and then he sees a baby, right? And immediately he changes. The gun moves back and he wants to make sure that that baby is okay. Imagine if at that point of time he saw another human being trying to help the guy he was trying to kill. That would not be any oxytocin or any care for that person. Oxytocin is that strong that it can stimulate a completely new thought process, even if you want to do harm. Even if you're in the way to do harm, inflict harm on yourself or on somebody else, oxytocin can make you stop that cycle. That's why in depression, right? Depression is so it's interesting, and it's so personal that you really cannot have symptoms which is universal, you know, because we feel sad in our own ways, we feel happy differently. But depression is when we do not engage with who we are. You know, that's how I would explain my depression as. I refuse to engage, you know, forget positive engagement or negative engagement or intermediate engagement. I did not want to engage even with myself. So if any of you or any of your friends experience this, I really suggest that you have to take professional help. I know many people would have survived without any professional help, but trust me guys, I am a product of professional help. If today I am standing here and explaining this to you, it is only because I was pushed to talk to people who knew what they had to tell me. That's why you need to see a professional. Because if someone trying to help you says the wrong things, oh my God, you go into a spiral. And it's very difficult to engage or hold out for somebody to pick you up when you're not engaging with yourself and when you're in a spiral. Yeah. So these four hormones, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, even though I've shared the positivity and the negativity, they are actually capable of doing more good than harm to us. Now, then there is a hyphen and there's a big C, right? What is that big C? If dopamine was this bad, is there something worse than that? Yes, of course there is. And again, just like dopamine can do good or bad, this big C or cortisol, our stress hormone, can also do us a lot of good and a lot of bad. What good can it do, and how can something which is doing such good for us do bad for us? Just imagine that you're walking on the road, suddenly you see a car coming at top speed towards you. You just turn and look, and suddenly somebody pulls you from behind, and the car just zoops, goes by you. Both of you, when you froze, it was cortisol in you, and the person who pulled you, when they pulled you, it was the cortisol which rose in them, which made them pull you back. So cortisol is the hormone which makes us hide, fight, or run. So it's very important for life, right? Because evolutionary, our ancestors, they needed cortisol in order to hide, in order to fight, in order to run, because their problems were that their neighboring states used to come and kill them, rape the wives, kill the children, kill the men, or take them as slaves. They really needed to be anxious if it was necessary, because if there was a fault, if they were not anxious, it could result in severe pain. So cortisol is very, very good. It helped our species survive. Just like the antelope, right? National Geographic, you see there's a bunch of antelopes. Suddenly one antelope looks up and the other antelopes, everybody look up at the same time. And then one of the many antelopes, if there is a lion somewhere, notices the lion and they all run. That's cortisol for you. But now what happened? Why is this something which helped our species survive screwing us over now? What is the reason this is happening? I'll tell you the reason. The reason is nowadays we have a lot of stress, but we have completely forgotten that when our ancestors had stress, they had to run. Sometimes they had to run 15 kilometers, run for their lives, or they had to fight. They had to fight till they killed another person. In order to balance the stress of your cortisol, you need to exert the cortisol out. You need to do physical activity. You need to exert yourself and push the cortisol out of the system. But what do we do today? Oh my God. The first thing we do when we hear a stressful news, okay, say for example, okay, college results are out. Hey guys, this year they have given a very bad pass percentage. They've only passed 30% of people. Woof, everybody's cortisol is rising. Okay. But then what do? Do we talk to people? Do we call people? Well, you know what we do? We immediately Google. We sit, already the cortisol is high. We sit and then we Google trying to find information which will make us feel better. That's the thing. Our body thinks that during stress, if we Google or if we see social media, we become less stressed. But what happens is when you're already high on cortisol and then you Google or try to get something from social media, the dopamine hits start to happen. So here you have cortisol and dopamine, and this further increases your stress. And when you're in a constant state of stress all the time, like so many of us are, when we look at the phone, there's deaths, there is rapes, there is an issue here, there's an issue there are viruses. Come on, man. It's really hard to be human because there is so much information which is ready to stimulate our cortisol and our dopamine. But we as human beings, as adults, as young adults, nobody is teaching us how to stimulate the positive dopamine, the oxytocin, the serotonin, and the endorphins. And this complete mismatch is what is causing severe problems like depression, sadness, broken families. That Texas gun shooting, oh my God, that's really sad. And what is more sad is when you try to find out what happened and you read the comments, you will understand what I am talking about. Your cortisol and your dopamine will increase so much that we will go into a frenzy. Okay, so this is actually a very large symposium topic for us, but I've tried to minimize it and make it simple, and I hope that I've not overshot my time. So if any of you have any questions about anything, please feel free to ask me now.
Thank you, Doctor. I have a couple of questions which have already received from the registrations. So
Yep.
can you start the Q&A now?
Yes, I can. I'm just going to have some juice. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. The first question is, please emphasize on the anxiety among the younger generation and depression. Also,
Yeah.
work-life harmony in young doctors.
Yeah. So let me just tell you that I'm not going to talk about adolescents, okay, because the problems are different. Can I understand what is the age group which is watching this? Any teenagers here
We
in the
have
group?
above 18, yeah, 17, 18.
Above 18, right? All are adults here, yes?
We have few adults as well, like
No. Above 18 is adult, Soumya. Everybody's an adult here, no?
yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, okay. So, can you repeat the questions, please?
Yes. The first, question is, please emphasize on the anxiety among the younger generation and
Yeah.
depression.
Yeah.
Also,
I think I have actually emphasized the answer to this question in the talk itself. We are not doing enough to balance the cortisol. See, anxiety or stress is cortisol. So if you're always in a state of panic, right? Like, okay, this is going to happen. I need to be. If you're always like the deer which is looking up instead of eating, you know what happens? What happens is anxiety happens, stress happens. You're in panic state all the time. And anxiety can be of two types. Anxiety is actually, just 1 minute. Yeah, anxiety is of two types. It can be a pathological anxiety where there is a reason for anxiety, and it can also be a functional anxiety where you are putting yourself in situations, surrounding yourself in situations where you are forced to be in a constant state of panic, even though there is no true danger. You imagine impending danger to exist. Okay, so definitely, I would advise that you should understand how social media or internet is stimulating your dopamine and taking you away from an actual, tangible, physically visible goal. So, if I have to say like the most simplest way in order to reduce your anxiety is start writing down your goals for the day. Start writing down your goals, what you want to do it, when you want to do it. And at the end of the day, identify whether you have achieved it or not. Because when you set your goals and when you check every day whether you achieved it or not, you have an honest idea about how you are doing in life. Okay, the panic starts to reduce if you're constantly doing this, and you start to get good dopamine which actually comes from the goals, the tangible goals which you achieved, and you will automatically start depending less on the dopamine from addictions, from social media addictions or alcohol or gambling or porn even. When you watch, oh okay, I have to talk about this. So masturbation, there's this huge debate, is masturbation right or wrong? Okay, scientifically you can even masturbate 20 times a day, other than some skin irritation or raw skin. There medically there are no complications or no side effects, there is evidence to it. Okay, but the question there should be, are you masturbating because you're horny, or are you masturbating because you want to feel good? And are you masturbating because you want to watch porn? So masturbation, which has porn addiction linked to it, guys, that's just you wanting dopamine for yourself without actually doing a physical activity to get the dopamine. This is also something which is plaguing youth all over the world now. Porn is so easily available. So we are really, really confused about the most naturalist thing which as humans we can do. Why we masturbate? We masturbate so that we train our genitals, ourselves, to know what feels good. So that when we have another person who we love with us, we can share the pleasure. It was supposed to be a very pure thing for humanity. All right. But now with porn addiction there, every time you want to masturbate, you're not imagining stuff at all. It's not natural at all. You're not imagining the man you want or the girl you want or anything. You're just going straight to your phone, looking at it, something which is that unreal, right? The stuff which you see on porn, you can't see on the street. It's completely unnatural there. And what happens there is your mind trains to receive dopamine only from something which is unreal. And you don't end up finding something which actually stimulates you in real life. This is a major problem with youth all over the world. And I'm sure it is in India too. So at this point of time, like, I'm a porn addict, okay? Like till 4-5 years ago, I was not even aware of it. I thought it was accepted. Somebody had to tell me, like how I am telling you that I'm a porn addict. And you know what I thought first? I thought, oh my God, this guy must watch so much porn if he's accepting that he's a porn addict. How nasty is that? And that's when I realized, fuck, we don't look at ourselves at all. The first step in reducing unnatural dopamine is accepting your addictions, accepting that, yes, I have this, I make this error, and there is no harm in being truthful. Just be honest about who you are. Everyone knows that everyone is watching porn. Everyone knows. The problem is when you're lying to others, you're lying to yourself, and that stops change. That stops change actually completely. So there are a myriad of reasons why we are facing a lot of issues. We are feeling in a way where even our parents are not able to explain it to us. And a lot of it has to do with these imbalance of these four hormones. And a lot of our addictions are just stimulating dopamine and cortisol. And we are not taking active physical effort in order to balance it with the other three. That is good stimulation of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. That is exercise, love, setting goals, and helping other people, serotonin, So from a young age, if you understand this and you decide to be truthful to yourself, okay, forget being truthful to others. First, start being able to be truthful to yourself. I think that really, really helps. And also, if guys, and see this advice about exercising, balance your hormones, it is for like 70% of the people who feel that their minds are not in place. But there are a lot of people who are clinically anxious, who have real clinical depression, and they need medications and they need psychotherapy, counseling. They need somebody to tell them the right words. So if you have a problem which you feel is not settling with exercise or by being around with family, helping someone, and you still feel the same, oh, just don't think twice about it. Go see a psychiatrist. Go see a psychiatrist and learn how to deal with it. Just like if your fever is not getting all right in like 4 days, you go to the doctor, right? You have to deal with depression exactly like that. If it's not going off with the lifestyle micro habit changes, you have to go see a specialist. Yeah, that's my answer to the question.
Yes, thank you, doctor. The next question is, I think few you have already covered during your presentation. The next question is regarding the role of gymnastics in improving lifespan. I think they have seen.
Oh, gymnastics is fabulous. I love gymnastics. As a sports surgeon, I treat a lot of athletes, and I also have had the opportunity to treat gymnasts. I think it's a fabulous sport. Any sport which focuses on your balance and coordination is a sport which is constantly sharpening your mind. For example, swimming is another sport. So they did research and they identified that of all the athletes, swimmers had the slowest degeneration of brain cells. Okay. And they researched why. It's because swimming, you have to balance, and coordination is extremely important. Otherwise, you will sink. Gymnastics also, you're constantly thinking about balancing. You're thinking if your right half is balancing your left half. So all of you should know that the left side of the brain represents the right half and vice versa. So when you're trying to balance both, you're engaging your entire brain, and communications are always crossing, whizzing here and there. Definitely 1,000 times better than watching Netflix and chilling. Gymnastics is very good, but the only thing is there are quite a few injuries there. So you need to be really careful. But gymnastics is really good. Continue.
Thank you, doctor. The next question is, doctor, most of the times I feel cranky, and because of that, my classmates won't talk to me friendly. I try to be chill like others, but helpless. What to do, doctor?
Okay, so like if all your classmates are not treating you right, you really have to also think that if there is a problem with you, like it's not always that they are wrong. The first thing, if everyone is treating you in a bad manner, I'm not saying that it's definitely you are the problem, but you could be a part of the problem. So you need to first look inwards, see if is there something I can change. Is there something I can change? Is there, again, set goals, write it down. Write down how you would like to be treated by your peers. You should Write it down in such a simple manner. I want them to smile, wave to me, tell my name. Write it down as a goal. Okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then you start to look inward, thinking, what can I do in order for the people who I want to respect and have friendship with me? See, this question just says that there is a lack of serotonin. You know, what you are feeling right now is just a lack of serotonin, where you don't feel respected by your peers. It is very important for us. And generally, our peers will respect us only when we have built something together with them, where we have helped them without reason or without any selfish cause. So I hope you know where I'm getting. So in order to develop that serotonin respect, you have to look inward, change whatever you can about yourself, and then you have to start helping people. When you start helping people and you both feel that serotonin at the same time, automatically friendships will start, relationships will change. You will start to develop mutual respect for each other, because that's extremely important. That would be a good way to go.
Yes. Thank you, doctor. The next question is about overthinking.
Yeah. What about overthinking?
Overthinking,
I love
like
overthinking. What is the problem with overthinking? What is the question?
the question is relief from overthinking.
I have the answer for it. Absolutely. If you start to write down what you are thinking, you will stop overthinking. Because what you are thinking is overthinking is just scattered thoughts all over the place. Many people don't try to accept that they are just having scattered thoughts and they don't know why they are thinking this way about something which has to be very simple. And thanks to great vocabulary, we call it overthinking. Like the reason why students are encouraged to write in school, does anybody know that? Okay, I know you can't answer back, but this is my style. So see, the reason why children are asked to not just verbally come and say their homework, but to write is because the only time our brain actually thinks is when we put our thoughts down on paper. When you are writing that alphabet, the word which you have thought in your head, that's actually thinking. When you're just randomly saying, okay, I'll do this, what is that happening? Is this happening? No, 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 no. That's not overthinking. That's just scattered, unregulated thoughts where you do not know how to channelize your thinking. So that is the reason why when we surgeons plan a surgery, right, it's never verbal. We write down the plan: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Everything which we are thinking about is written so that we have thought about it in a right way and it can be executed. So the simplest solution to overthinking is buy a note and a book and put into words what you are thinking. You will immediately start to understand how you need to deal with this overthinking stuff. It's actually very simple. Yes, next question.
Yeah. The next question is the difference between stress and depression.
Oh, wow. That's actually a very interesting question. The difference between stress and depression is stress is when you feel pressure. Stress is something which is not your response. Stress is something which can be also applied on you. Okay, you can also put yourself in stress. Okay, but generally, stress is what is put on you by somebody. Finish the deadline. You have to score 80 marks. You need to be at this body weight. Stress is something which others can also put on you. Stress happens if you have too much cortisol in your system. You're always thinking only about fight, flight, and run. Oh, will this happen to me? Will that happen to me? Okay. Depression, though, is a feeling of not engaging at all with anything or with yourself or with friends. It can appear as, that's the thing. I was speaking to a psychiatrist, and I asked him, like, just before this. So I'm sure somebody will ask me, what are the clinical signs of depression? What should I tell them? He showed me a couple of videos, actually 5 or 6, of people who had committed suicide 12 hours before. Oh my God, they look completely normal. Okay, so the first thing which you need to know is there is no obvious A, B, C, D for depression. When you feel that you're not engaging with who you are, okay, it can be in any way. You might be laughing, talking, doing stuff. And the second obvious sign is lack of movement, going out, playing sports. Okay. And stress many times leads to depression if you do not know how to respond. So when somebody puts stress on you, you can either like respond back and break the stress, or you can allow that stress to compress you down and depress you. Both of them happen in and around a cycle. Stress is generally experienced by all of us. Depression also probably, but depression, you've already reached a point where you need to ask for help.
Okay. Thank you, doctor. The next question is, does overthinking affect the mental health?
Again, if it's a yes or no question, I would say yes, because what overthinking is your thoughts not translated into words. And you guys know that I'm a firm believer of writing down your goals, because otherwise anything you think is just overthinking. If you're not writing your stuff down, even if you're thinking that, oh, I had a brilliant thought, it is overthinking, or it is scattered thoughts. So write, this word overthinking itself should not come, because if you know that you have to write your thoughts down and you do it, you won't have this issue.
Thank you,
And
doctor.
yes, it does affect your mental health. If you're just thinking and not writing your ideas down or your goals down, it will affect your mental health. Yeah, the answer is yes.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, the next question is about the relationship between food and mental health.
The relationship between?
Food and mental health.
Yeah. So every time you eat, your body releases dopamine. So that is the reason why many of us, when we feel sad, we eat. I've done it. I did it so many times that I could reach around 150 kilos. Okay, right now I'm at around 94 kilos or something like that. And I very distinctly remember that every time I used to feel sad about something, I used to go to the shop at the back and have a grape juice full of sugar, so that sugar and the ice and the grape juice used to make me feel really happy. And along with that, just a couple of samosas. I felt like I had eaten a healthy meal, because at that point of time, I thought like juices do not help you put on weight. And this continued for a long period of time. I also realized that many times I didn't eat because it was very tasty or because I was hungry. I ate because I wanted to feel good about myself. And so you have to treat food just like anything which stimulates dopamine, in a bad manner and in a good manner. So I hope that the end of this talk, all of you are clear that dopamine can be stimulated in a way which can be detrimental to us too. When we write down goals and achieve it, that dopamine which comes with hard work is beneficial. When we just drink some alcohol or eat food and we feel that happiness which is there, that dopamine release is actually detrimental to us. With dopamine, you need to find ways where physically you achieve something in order to get the dopamine hit. Because if you don't, your body will find ways like food, alcohol, gambling, porn in order to substitute this. And that always goes negative. So this is the relationship. Yeah.
Food and mental health. Yes, nicely you have explained. Doctor, can we take one more question or
Oh yeah, we can take one more question. Of course, if anybody wants to ask me something, I'm always happy to answer. Please go ahead.
So I have received a couple of questions with reference to self-esteem. One question is similar to that. It is, sir, does acne matters? I was feeling very bad about that. Nobody wished to talk to me, and nobody is making a close relationship relationship with me.
Yeah. So yeah, no, the reason I'm thinking is like when I can show you a couple of photos just so that you guys can see what my size was, because this question really brought me back to the same thing. I used to feel the same way. Just so that you guys can see this, I'm going to bring it close to the screen. Like, can you see this person there? Yeah, that was me with my mom and my dad when I was like 16 years old. And yeah, this is also me. I was actually this huge when I was in my late teens. And I used to feel the same way. So this question goes really deep inside. Yeah, so see, you always you have solutions for acne. You have ways in order to, even if you are telling yourself that it is the acne, most of the times if we feel lonely, it's not just one reason, it's a set of reasons. So you'll have to definitely take professional help. I think I'm very happy that you've asked this question. In order to be able to answer this right, I really need to understand, which is not my training, okay? But the person who you need to see really has to understand all the aspects of your life, because it is definitely not just you having acne, which is not making people talk to you or friendly or stuff like that. The first thing is think what you can change, because acne is not something which cannot go away, but again, like acne is not just the only reason. Please talk to somebody professional who can help you out here.
Thank you, doctor. So I think we have taken up almost all questions related to lifestyle.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic.
And
I hope I hope I was coherent and it made a lot of sense. Yeah. And also for all of you, the participants who are watching, I am on Instagram. I'm Dr. Santosh Jacob on Instagram. If any of you want to connect with me for any assistance, feel free to. I also make a lot of educational videos, and I would really like it if all of you have a proper trusted source to get your medical information from. So, all right, guys. Soumya, thank you so much.
yes.
JournoMed, MedPiper, and the Youth Council of India for choosing me, for giving me this platform where I could be honest, truthful with you guys. And I have no fear in saying that I used to be depressed, and even like depression happens all the time. It's really weird that in a day you can be like completely normal, but half an hour you can be really depressed, where you're not engaging with yourself. That's how and when you're not engaging with yourself and you realize it, it's so much easier for you to break the cycle. Okay. So again, thank you guys so much. It's just quite sad that I'm unable to see all of you at the same time and absorb what all of you are feeling also. But then again, this is how life is today.